This webinar was organized by FAO, CBD and OECD upon several requests from the members and parties of the organizations. The webinar aimed to clarify the respective mandates, scopes and type of information that could be found on the databases. In total, 170 people from 76 countries pre-registered through the webinar. Of these pre-registrations, 120 people actually attended, and they were coming from 55 countries. When we take a closer look into the background of the participants, we can see that they came from a broad variety of sectors. When asked in which sector they were working, people indicated that they were working in agriculture, environment, health, food, specific biosafety agencies, research, science and technology, and even other sectors, including the private sector. When we look to the geographical distribution of the participants, we could see that they come from all over the world. Most participants, the biggest shares of participants came from Africa, Asia, Europe, and Latin America. Also, this webinar was organized in 2 sessions to reach global coverage. The webinar concluded with an interactive discussion in which participants could share their views and perspectives on the topic. This slide summarizes some of the key outcomes of the discussion. Among participants, the uniqueness of the different databases was recognized, and this confirmed the need of their coexistence. Also, mechanisms for uploading data were discussed, and from these mechanisms there was looked in how they could be further improved to enhance the practical usability of the databases. It was also mentioned that there's a strong need for achieving synergies among the different databases and organizations that host them. And in this perspective, the importance of using the OECD Unique Identifier was emphasized. Finally, there were challenges identified in coordinating cross-cutting activities. Other feedback we received from participants during this webinar is that they were satisfied with the content and format of a webinar. It was therefore also suggested to organize more of these webinars in the future. Also, participants felt that the difference and the synergies between the 3 different databases were made clearer by the presentations on the databases itself. As mentioned before, these presentations are still available on YouTube. Also, participants recognized the importance for each of the databases to have a national focal or contact point. However, many of the participants stated that they are in need of establishing a more effective communication and coordination mechanisms between the different stakeholders in biosafety on the national level. Based on this feedback, we decided to organize a new webinar that specifically addresses communication and coordination mechanisms at the national level. During this webinar, many questions were posed in the chat box. Unfortunately, due to time limitations, we were not able to answer all these questions separately in the webinar. That's why in the report we made an annex in which we compiled all the questions and provided them for answers. On this slide, I included 3 questions that were frequently asked. These questions describe the FAO perspective, but in the final annex, a total of 43 questions is available that also are specifically targeted, asked to OECD or CBD. One of the questions we frequently received was, what's the scope of risk assessment on the FAO GM Foods platform? The answer is that the FAO GM Foods platform specifically deals with GM food safety assessment that is prescribed by the Codex guidelines on rDNA on foods derived from rDNA plants. These guidelines were established in 2003 and also contain an annex which provides the mandate of our database. Another question we frequently received is whether FAO can assist countries' technical capacities in the area. For FAO, the answer is that FAO welcomes comments and feedback from all countries on this issue, and that we can see, assess and identify what specific capacity developing needs might exist. Another question, which was also frequently asked to all of us, is where to find the final report, recordings and presentations. Well, the answer on this question is that we made a report that is available on our website. For the sake of convenience, we made a small tiny URL, which you can see on this slide. Also, we made a YouTube channel on which all the recordings of the previous webinar are made available. You can see a screenshot of our report, and here you can see a screenshot of one of the presentations on our YouTube channel. With this, I would like to conclude and give it back to Masami.